So this question here is primarily a question about using the high watermark in BlackBird's money management section here. So this is a pretty typical situation here of kind of why the money management, but specifically why the high watermark was created here. So the thought was that someone would potentially be running multiple instances of BlackBird, on 3 different charts here, and then the usual goal is that once all of them combined reach $1,000 in profit, then you want to protect that money, right? You don't want to give it all back. Basically a high watermark is the same concept as like a stop loss that has moved to break even, right? But whereas a stop loss is for the individual trade or that individual position on that individual instrument, the high watermark, it's actually designed to protect the profit and loss of your account for that day. So any profits that have made it into your account for the day, that's what the high watermark is meant to protect, right? So in other words, when you add up all the individual trades that you've taken throughout the day, so like you may have taken 5 trades and generated $1,000 of profit out of those 5 trades. The high watermark is there to protect the profits that were generated from all of the day's trading activity. So in this example here, if the profit drops, so if you're up, say $1,000 for the day, you don't want to give all that money back. And so, if you take a couple of losing trades and your profit drops down to some percentage, then basically you want to, one thing here, there's 2 things you could do. The main thing is you want to stop trading, just to protect your profits. And also this question also says, can all the positions be closed? So this sounds like, closing the position, a live open position here. So basically in this question, we're going to go through a demonstration of using the high watermark. All right, so with that, let's get BlackBird set up on all these charts here. So it's just going to take me a moment just to kind of come up with, some examples here. So there is BlackBird number 1. All right. Now, you'll notice I'm going into the strategy window here to open up BlackBird, right? So any add-on product that does trading is going to be in the strategy class, right? Indicators cannot trade. Indicators only do basically mathematical calculations. It's the strategy class that can actually do the trading and trade management. So, all right, let's get this other BlackBird on. So, a couple of key settings to pay attention to is, the account that you want BlackBird to trade in, and also don't forget to enable it. So strategies are different. Indicators, once you put an indicator on the chart, it's automatically enabled, right? There is no enabling an indicator, but strategies have to be enabled, right? You have to consciously be aware that they're on the chart, and then you also have to go and turn them on. It's kind of a safeguard that NinjaTrader built into the strategy class, right? So don't forget to turn them on. And last one here, you may So let me set up another example here. So you may notice sometimes your strategy is disabled, right? If it's grayed out and it's disabled, I think the most common mistake is someone has the chart trader enabled, right? You can see up here at the top of my chart, the chart trader's enabled there, but it's minimized, right? And people forget that they have the chart trader on and minimized here, right? So you can expand it out. So you will, and so if the chart trader is turned on, then the strategies are disabled for that chart. So just simply turn your chart trader off, right? There's no expand button over here, and now you can get into the strategy window. All right, so let's get this last Blackbird on here and running. Next thing I'll need to do is just, I guess, I'll need to just set up these Blackbirds with just some random settings here. So I will just throw on a very simple BloodHound, some simple BloodHound signals here. I'll just use this test file. And in this test file, it just generates a bunch of random signals here. But I can use this price inflection with MACD filter here. There. And also, let's set up some order settings here. I want to make sure that we get orders filled here, so I'll just do a market order, and let's see here. Yeah, I'll do a multi-lot. I'll do a multi-lot here, and let's see. And I'll set up. I guess I don't want to overcomplicate. I don't want to overcomplicate the orders here, but at the same time, it's kind of nice to set something up that's kind of typical of what traders might actually do. Let's see. This stop loss, I'm gonna I'm gonna turn off the trailing. So I'm really hoping to get all these profit targets hit, because I want to, generate $1,000 in profit as quickly as possible. So let's set up a second order set here, and let's set this one to a 15 tick profit target. There. Okay, so we're trading a 2-lot here. And let's also set up the money management. So obviously the money management here is really key. And down at the bottom here, we have the daily watermark, sometimes referred to as the high watermark. There's a lot of kind of general terms for a watermark. So we called it the daily watermark because the money management rules, they reset on a daily basis, right? So this watermark, it resets itself, kind of back to zero every day. So now, if you notice in the question here that this last key part of the question here is we want the open positions to be closed here. So that would be the enforced during live trades. So we'll check that. And now let's set up the watermark rules here. So I'm going to use the fixed amount, because that is a lot easier to understand and visualize. So let's set it to 1,000. Actually, let's see. Let me set it a little lower so we don't have to wait so long. Okay, so once $800 of profit has been achieved, that's when the watermark turns on. So kind of think of it as your stop loss moving to break even and your stop loss basically kind of turning on. But you know it's kind of close, but that's not accurate with that stop loss example. So actually, I guess what would be more accurate is that think of it as your stop loss not existing until you make, say like after the trade has made $100 in profit, then a stop loss actually gets created, right, for that individual trade, right? So in the beginning, of the trade, there's no stop loss. You're 100% naked. But then after, $100 or a profit, then a stop loss gets submitted to the exchange. And so that's kind of what this activate watermark after it does. So as long as the daily net profit, now keep in mind that the watermark runs on your net profit, your daily net profit, right? So once your daily net profit gets to $800 or more, then the watermark functionality turns on, right? So, and let's see here. Stop trading after. We'll leave that at 50% here. 50% of profits, right? So essentially, once the net profit gets to $800, then the watermark, so the stop trading after, this is the actual watermark value. So that watermark gets set to $400, and then the watermark just keeps climbing higher as your net profit increases throughout the day. So, all right, so we have that set up. Let me save this. I'm going to save these, and that way I can load it up on the other Blackbirds quickly here. All right, so March 2nd already. All right, we'll just call this the watermark example. All right, let's save that. Click OK. And now I'll just load the same file into these others here. Now, you can have different settings. So all your Blackbirds can be set up completely differently. For example, you can have different BloodHound templates loaded, right? You could have different BloodHound signals loaded into Blackbird. You could even, let's see, this is the NQ. You can even have different number of contracts running, different profit targets. Let's knock this down to 8 ticks, for example, on the NQ, and I'll knock this last one down to 12 ticks, for example. Yeah, so just, but the one thing, so your order sets can be different, and your BloodHound signals can be different across all the different Blackbirds, right? But the one thing that does have to be the same on all 3 Blackbirds is the high watermark setting. So make sure that your high watermark settings are exactly the same across all 3 Blackbirds, right? Otherwise, they'll turn off at different times. So, like, for example, if this Blackbird was running, a $900 activation, right, this Blackbird may not turn itself off, right, because it's waiting for $900 in profit for the watermark to activate, whereas the other 2, their watermark activated at $800, right? So the other 2 Blackbirds might stop trading before this 3rd Blackbird does, right? So make sure that your watermark settings are exactly the same And one other thing I forgot to do is change this to group mode. We need these Blackbirds running in group mode for their net profit and loss. Right? So what that does is, so all three Blackbirds, they will have their profit and losses added together as a group. So that way this watermark, it's evaluating the combined net profit total of all three Blackbirds. Right? So otherwise, so basically these money management rules, they can operate on two different profit and loss settings, I guess. So first is the individual mode. So that means these money management rules are using the profit and loss of just this instance of this Blackbird. And then if we use group mode, then these money management rules that are set up in here, these money management rules, they're being compared to the group total, net profit total of all the other Blackbirds running in group mode. So the other Blackbirds have to be running in group mode too to be included in this group mode net profit and loss calculation. All right, so there we go. So it's in group mode. Let's call that good. Let me go back to this other Blackbird here, the first one on the YM. And let me set this one to group mode as well. There we go. All right, I'll save that back to the file with that group mode turned on. And let me just want to do a double check. It's always good to double check your settings here. I just want to make sure that I set the watermark down to $800 on the activation. All right, that looks good. And let's get this last Blackbird set up. All right, so let's see, let's double check the money management rules here. So it's in group mode, and our watermark activates at $800, and it's 50% of the days, the daily net profit. All right, that looks good, and I will I'll switch up the order settings here a little bit, just to kind of prove a point. All right. So there we go. So on oil, I've got 3 contracts running, 5 tick, 10 tick, and a 15 tick profit target. There. Okay. Great. So let's see. Next thing, let's get these charts set up. So you notice, right? So let me just kind of back up here. So I'm using BloodHound signals, and I also have the options to show BloodHound on the chart and show the racing stripes, right? But we don't see BloodHound on the chart, not yet, and that's because NinjaTrader requires us to basically reload the Ninja script, and then that enables BloodHound to be put on the chart here. So there we go. And then also let's go select the correct logic template here. So price inflection with a MACD filter. There we go. Okay, so now we have some trade signals on the chart, something to look at. Not that that's necessary. I mean, you don't have to have your BloodHound showing on the chart. It's not a requirement. It's just for us, the human trader, to see that stuff. But it's not necessary for Blackbird to run correctly. All right, so let's refresh this chart. And also, let me select the correct logic template. And there we go. Trade signals. And one last chart to reload here. All right, so I turned on oil already. I will go ahead and turn on the NQ, and let's turn on the YM, and then also let's set up BloodHound here. There we go. There's the BloodHound signals. All right, so I think, yeah, we're almost there. So now, next step is to start generating a bunch of trades. So it looks like, I think all these charts are going to start generating short signals here. All right, there we go. YM's got a trade on. Oil has a trade on. Looks like NQ is not ready to go short. All right. Well, let's see. Oh, let's get something else. Let's get another visual turned on here. Let's open up the performance window here, and the select view is on group, so we can witness what the group profit and loss is here. All right, so it looks like yeah, oil and the YM, both of those trades are off, so it looks like we're halfway there to our $800 goal here. All right, so let me set up another trade signal, and it looks like NQ just went long here, so hold on. All right, so we're short on the YM, long on the NQ. So this NQ is going to introduce a loser in our daily net profit. And yeah, we can see what our high watermark is. And let's see, all right, all the trades closed out. So let me try and get some more trades going here. So we have a net group profit of 685. So we need a little bit more here. All right. I think I can generate another short signal here. And great. Yeah, looks like oil just went short. And oh, the other ones all went short too. Good. All right. Good, good. All right. So if we look at our total net profit, we're almost at $1,000. There we go, 1,100. So, all right. So now let's start generating some losers. So actually, let me pause it here. So we can see our high watermark is at $1,250, right? $1,250, and the high watermark stop is half of that, right? Because remember, in the settings, we set the high watermark stop at 50% of the high watermark. So basically, and so just a quick explanation, the high watermark, that was your maximum. The high watermark tracks your maximum net profit for the day. All right, so at the day, the maximum net profit is what the high watermark remembers. And so then the watermark stop will be 50% of the watermark. So let's see here. All right, so we actually have we do have a trade on the YM, so let me hit that stop loss. We'll turn that into a loser. There we go. So a little bit of a loss. It knocked our net profit down a little bit. All right, so let me get some more trades turned on here, and we'll generate some more losers. All right, so there's the NQ has a trade on. Hopefully we can get a trade on the other instruments. There we go. Okay, so let me turn these two trades into losers before our profit targets get hit. And, oh, great. So oil. Yeah, so we have a trade on oil now as well. It's kind of hard seeing all these charts when you got so many charts on the screen. But if I shrink these charts up, it shrinks the flags up a little bit too. And let's see. All right, just wait for the NQ to stop out. And let's see. All right, so our net profit is down to $750. And bingo. There we go. So our net profit dropped below the 625. So one thing to keep in mind here. Let's take a look. Right, so this was the last trade here. All right, yeah. So I just want to take a look at the data here. So so one thing to point out here before I look at the data here. One thing to point out here, right, is that. Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. Hold on a sec. There's so many bits and pieces and requirements. Yeah, that's right. This just reminded me. You notice how the enforce during live trades is grayed out, and that's because we're running in group mode. So, right. So, when you have BlackBirds running in group mode, it realistically it's impossible to have the watermark enforced during a live trade, right? And it's because there's just too many moving pieces going on all at the same time, right? Essentially, yeah, I guess, I don't like to knock NinjaTrader all that much, but essentially NinjaTrader just kind of runs too slowly to be able to get the enable during live trades to run properly in group mode, right? So just it just takes too long to get all the data from all the BlackBirds pulled together on a timely fashion to enforce the daily watermark during a live trade. So, yeah, that's right. That is disabled. So, sorry about that. But we did show that so once our net profit dropped below the watermark stop, right? So the watermark stop is at 625 and our net profit is 585. So with that net profit below the watermark stop, now BlackBird has stopped trading for the rest of the day. So we were able to demonstrate all the question except this last part, closing the open positions. If this was intended to be like close any live open positions, that part is not possible when running in group mode. All right, with that, I think that basically kind of concludes our little demo of the watermark running in group mode. All right, so this next question is about one of the bar types, the ProRenko bar type. So, okay, so the question is that it's been noticed that, right, so you get a trade signal and the ProRenko, right, the bar closes at 358. And actually, surprisingly, the entry went in at 59. Okay, actually, shoot, that's only a 1 tick difference. Shoot, I was hoping for a better exaggeration of this. So the question is about getting the entry price closer to the signal bar's closing price, right? So we're trying to minimize that that distance between the bar's closing price and the entry price. All right, there we go. That's enough. So let me, using the Ninja's simulated data feed may not move fast enough to create, a huge difference between the two prices, and it's not. It's only creating a 1 tick offset. Okay, well, unfortunately, I can't really create a good example using the simulated data feed. So I'll just explain what's going on here. So this question comes around quite a bit, such as, how can I get my entry price closer to the bar's closing price? And in regards to renko bars, that is not possible because of the nature of renko bars. It's because of how renko bars are calculated that will never be possible. If you want to try and get your market order entry price closer to the closing price of the bar, you have to go to something like a minute bar or a tick bar, or a volume bar, something like that. But range bars and renko bars, they all have let me rephrase this differently. Renko bars and range bars, because of the way they're calculated, you will always have at least, typically, you never know what the market's going to give you, right? Sometimes the markets will, will give you a pass, and sometimes you'll get a great entry price. But the way range and renko bars are calculated, price has to move 1 tick beyond the closing price. So, and actually, the settings that I have here. So let's, if we look at the settings up here, I'll just open up the window here. So if you notice the new trending bar, right, I have it set to 2 ticks. So what that means is that the price difference, let me draw a little aid here. So the price difference between these two bars is 2 ticks, right? So every bar has a 2 tick offset on the closing price, right? So, and so going back to the way that range and renko bars are calculated, so price has to move beyond, so basically let's go back to this signal bar here, right? So the closing price of that bar is 362. Now price had to move 1 tick beyond that before the next bar opened, right? And the one way that you can always tell if a bar type requires price to move beyond it before the bar is closed is look at the wicks. If you notice, all the reversal bars, they all have wicks that go beyond that exceed the previous bar's closing price, right? These wicks are always go beyond. Even down here, let's see, let's shrink this up a little bit. So, right, even down here, so there's the closing price. And if you look, the wicks, so if you see bars where the wicks are always one tick lower, right, or the reversal bar, the wick is always one tick higher, that tells you, that's proving to you that price has to move at least one tick beyond the closing price of the bar before the bar closes. So, when this reversal bar closed, or I should say, in order for this reversal bar to close, price has to move at least one tick higher. So price had to move up one tick higher. Well, actually, there, I could just put my arrow there. So price moved up one tick higher, and then that was the that's the formula that's needed to close this bar and then open the next bar. So when you're using renko bars, right, as your chart type. So when you get the signal, right, on a bar, you know that basically when this, in order for this signal bar to close, price had to move one tick higher. Right, so the next bar opened when price was already one tick higher. So therefore, right, the way that range and renko bars are calculated, right, there's always, the price has always moved one tick, at least one tick, beyond the previous bar, right, in order for the signal bar to close and the next bar to open. Right, so so you're always going to have this gap, between your entry price and the closing price of the bar. So there you go. That's the technical explanation there for range and renko bars. If you're trying to get around, this mechanical issue, then I have not seen a way to get around that. There's no way to, I have not seen a way to cheat that, to create a workaround to do that, right? Basically, the only workaround I know to solve this problem is to be able to predict the future accurately, to know that this is going to close as an up bar, right? You have to ask yourself, how would you know that this bar is going to close as a reversal bar unless you could predict the future? Because price could run all the way up to here and then reverse back and come down and generate a down bar. Right, so how do you know that this is going to close as an up bar until price has moved beyond it and already has closed that bar, right? So the only way I know of is to predict the future. So for example, see, look at, this is a good example. See this bar here with a long wick? It looks like actually if price had probably moved one tick lower, this would have closed as a reversal bar. But it didn't. It came right down to the exact price and then moved back up and closed as an up bar. But if price had moved down one extra tick, then it would have closed as a reversal bar, right? And the next bar would have been opened. Could you do something like create a price level? Yeah, as a condition with the price level being compared to the last renko bar. Yeah, I think I understand what you're getting at. Yes, you could. And actually, in fact, let me show you something here. So we do actually have something that could be used in BloodHound, so you can play around with this. But I can't go into BloodHound, but I can show you the indicator here. And this indicator can be used in BloodHound. So if we scroll down to the SIs, here we go, renko counter. So we have a renko counter, and let's see here. It's been a while since this indicator has ever come up. Let's see, show prices is on. All right, font. Yeah, all right, I guess I'll just put that on the chart. So we have this indicator here, and you can see it marks the closing price of the bar, and it also marks where price has to move to in order for the bar to close. So let me pull price down a little bit. So once price comes down and touches that, we'll get a warning. All right, there we go. You see that little warning there? Now it just went red. Little warning. That's just a visual, but also inside this indicator, there's data series inside this indicator that you can use inside of BloodHound to know when, right, to tell BloodHound that the bar, potentially is about to close. Right. So that way you can try and jump into the trade early, like one tick early. And if you want, you can send me a question in for next week's BloodHound workshop, and we can cover this again. Wave is asking, does the renko counter indicator, basically I think you're asking, is it included with BloodHound? And yes, it is. So all of, let's pull up the indicator list here. Yeah, before I overspeak, let me just double check. Yes, all of these SI indicators, well, except for the heat map, sorry. So yeah, all the SI indicators you see here, except for the heat map, are all included with BloodHound. So they're all just little, freebie indicators to help support BloodHound, right? So time block, free indicator, swings, highs, lows, free indicator. The swings indicator is included. The renko counter is included. Of course, the heat map, that's a separate product, so that is not included. And Chameleon is also included. Even though we really don't use Chameleon anymore, because Chameleon's functionality is actually, it's all built into BloodHound, so that's not used anymore. But we had to keep it there for old BloodHound templates that did use Chameleon, right? That has to be kept in there, just for the sake of old systems that might have used Chameleon. All right, so there we go, the renko counter. All right, so I guess we're kind of done for today. Yeah, I don't see any new questions coming in here. I'll just say have a good weekend. And of course, I hope to see you guys next week. And keep your questions coming. Email those in ahead of time if you can. I really appreciate it if you can email your questions in ahead of time. Have a good week, and see you next time. All right, bye-bye, guys.